Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Mums on Cloud 9. I'm delighted to have Lauren Maguire here, who's an RVP at Salesforce, and she's going to be telling us all about her life as a working mum. She's been through some interesting transitions from working in corporates to startups to relocating across the globe from USA to London. So we're just going to dig into all of those great things about how do you get to be a Mums on Cloud 9 when you're juggling all of these things. So, Lauren's a senior leader at Salesforce. Welcome to the show, Lauren. We'd love for you to just share a little bit more. Can you unpack a little bit more about what I said there? Tell
Yep,
them a bit about your journey, and then we'll dig into some of those areas about how you juggle mumhood and workhood.
absolutely. Well, first off, Heather, thank you for having me. This is amazing. And like you said, I am Laura McGuire. I'm an RVP in sales here at Salesforce. Funny enough, I started my career many moons ago at Salesforce in actually San Mateo, which is just south of San Francisco, California. And I started as an SDR. So the job that gets many people into sales and kind of worked my way up into an account executive and got to be an account executive and really realized that my dream job was to be a BDR manager. And at the time, Salesforce was requiring me to spend a few more years than I wanted to in my current role. And so I decided to join a startup. I joined up a startup called Box and was there for, gosh, almost 6 years or just over 6 years. And kind of similar role, starting as an AE and got wind that they wanted to build out a BDR team. And so I was like, yes, that is the opportunity that I've been looking for. And raised my hand, presented my plan, and built out their first outbound BDR team. And the plan was to do it from, I think it was 12 people to start. It quickly grew to 20 in the first year, and then it grew from 20 to, gosh, I think we had about 60 BDRs across 3 or 4 offices, and just continued to skyrocket, which was a great experience. During that time, I had my first child, and that was an experience, obviously. It was actually, I think we were talking about this just before, but it was literally they IPO'd the day before I was due back from mat leave. So got to kind of watch from the sidelines while I was on maternity leave, as we ramped up for their IPO, I should say, and my first IPO, which was great from an startup experience, pre and post. And then I came back, which is always an interesting experience. And I think a lot of moms experience is going back into the workforce and kind of realizing that life has happened for the last, in my case, 3 months, because I was in the US when I had my child. I went back to work after 3 months and handed over my teeny tiny little baby to the daycare princesses who just really like my second moms. But yeah, so after 3 months, realized, everything has continued on without you. I'm trying to ramp back up as quickly as possible. But Vox did a really nice job kind of welcoming me back. I did that for a few more years and then had another kid, as one does. But I think at that time is when I realized, you know what, I really want to get into AE management. That's kind of my dream. And so think I'm just a glutton for punishment, but went to another startup and Culture Fractions. It's now called Navon, which was great experience managing BDRs and AEs. I think before I moved here, we had about 50 or 60 BDRs and about 50 commercial account executives. So
Yeah.
a big org of about 100 people, which is fantastic, and really getting that engine kind of humming. Meanwhile, on the side, still being a mom, and trying to balance and juggle all of that. And my husband is Scottish, and we got an opportunity to potentially move to London. And so kind of went home that day and had a conversation of like, hey, Trip Actions wants to build out a team in London or Amsterdam were the options. London made the most sense for us, just given kind of where he was originally from. And we we did it. We made the move as a family of four. So I had a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old at the time. And we moved over to London to build out our EMEA presence, which was, yeah, I mean, I don't think I would ever get an opportunity like that to just start something from scratch in the startup world. Yeah, and just kind of continued to grow things. Unfortunately, COVID hit, which is not great for travel tech, and stuck it out for a bit longer and then went over to early startup called Forecast, kind of similar BDR and AEs. Then I got a whiff of the AI bug, and joined it was a chatbot company called Live Person, and then ultimately swooned back to Salesforce. So here I
Right.
am. All and the kids are obviously much older now and experienced all of that kind of alongside me, which was very fun.
Oh, you've been on an incredible journey, I think. And you got the Boomerang t-shirt to go
I
back to
don't
Salesforce.
actually. I need to ask about this. I've heard of it.
Incredible experience. So, over the years, you've worked for the corporates and startups. Like, what's been the best of both of those worlds, and what's been the most challenging, would you say?
I think the best part of startups is that you get to wear many hats, and get to be at kind of the front lines for everything that is happening within the business. If I use, Trip Actions as an example, sitting in our executive meetings week on week and hearing from all of the cross-functional leaders exactly what's happening, you just have an incredible pulse of the business, which is great. And I think, that is a really great opportunity to be exposed to everything that happens in a business. I think the con with that is that you need to put in the time and you need to put in the work. And because you're at the pulse of the business, if there's any change or any kind of impact, you need to be able to jump on that kind of all hours of the day, which can be really particularly challenging for parents, because there are other people that need you. So I think that, that's kind of the good and the bad. I think on the corporate side, almost the reverse, right? So the pros are that it's a, really established business. We've got a great presence. You really have the opportunities in front of you to do your particular job really well. But flip side, you don't get exposed to the pulse of the business. That is happening layers away because I'm not in that like executive role at this time. And so I think, it is a bit of a kind of catch 22 of what you like and what you don't like. So it just kind of, I think also kind of depends on where you are in your life and kind of where that fits in depending on
Mm.
your journey, if you will.
So how do you find juggling? You've got a career and you've got a family. What's your kind of career mum style? How do you juggle those two aspects at the same time?
Yeah, I think I've gotten better at it now that they're a bit older. And so they can, get ready on their own and do
Yeah.
all of those things. But also what comes with that was like obviously more outdoor activities and outside activities. So that becomes more challenging. I am very, very fortunate to outsource help, and we have an after school nanny to assist with all those additional activities. I mean, I think just sitting, like for me, it's a really, really structured schedule. So my husband and I have a very set like gym schedule. I go Monday, Wednesday, he goes Tuesday, Thursday, and then we alternate on Fridays. And I get up my alarm goes off at 5:40 a.m. and I am usually on the gym floor by 6:10. And he's in a similar boat where he, is doing his classes that early. And those are just, that's how early we have to start so that we're home by 7:30 so that we can make sure everybody's ready and out the door by 8:30.
Mhm.
Because now that we're all back in the office, when we're dropping them off, we're not coming back home to get ready for the day. We are going straight in. And then the schedule just continues, right? They're continuing until 3:15, 3:30. I'm continuing probably until 5:30 or 6. And then dinner's at 6:30, showers, bed by 8:30, reading, etc. So I think for us it has to be like a really strict schedule. Otherwise, we all fall apart, I would say.
Yeah, no, of course. I think it's also important to make that time for yourself to go to the gym or watch a movie or have a bath. That time is so important for you to cleanse your mind and be able to like focus on your next activity with your family.
100%. Yeah, the gym is like my safe place. You don't realize how much like mental health goes into that. I was going to like get fit and work out, but really it is like my 1 hour of peace.
Oh gosh, so you're lucky. My husband goes to the gym at like 4 in the morning before he goes to work, but I have a treadmill that I face in front of the TV so I can watch like medical and crime shows and run and cook dinner at the same time. So I'm like flipping pancakes and running.
I love it.
No, it's great to have that routine, isn't it? I just think it's that structure and being so committed and balancing it between you. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, but it sounds like both of you and your partner work. So kind of balancing, making sure you both get what you need out of the relationship is really key. I know you said you lived in Islington. Is it Virgin Gym you go to?
No, I'm a little bit spoiled. I'm going to third space.
Ah, I used to go to the Virgin there, so I was getting flashbacks of my Peloton days and swimming. I used to go every night after work,
Oh,
like 5 o'clock. I loved it, but get that downtime, isn't it? And so it's really
yes,
good that you've
it's
got
so
that.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, juggling those two things. And I mean, you mentioned obviously that moving abroad and moving to the UK, how have you found settling in? Because I think we find that with a lot of our super mums that have gone on that journey, that a lot of them are actually in the UK, they've moved from abroad. How have you found that whole settling in process?
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting one. So I think one, picking a location to live. So when we started this journey, it was January of I think 2019. And what I didn't realize is that my oldest was actually going to be going straight into reception when we landed, because I think we landed in August of 2019. And that just changes everything because I realized that the school was dependent on the location that we picked. So luckily our council was incredibly friendly and let us use the council address so we could kind of navigate schools that way.
Mm.
Um, Once we got into a rental, we were able to, like, this is our home, this is where we do actually live in the council, etc. So we were just really, really fortunate there. And then I think settling in, we picked a school based on kind of our criteria. I would say our criteria from California, and quickly actually realized it wasn't the right fit for my kids. And so then we had to restart again. And so I tell this story because I think once we landed at the school that we are now, that's when I actually got a bit more settled. So I made some really kind of great, like, other mom friends at the old school who are still some great friends. But I have a really, really strong tribe, like, now, with my daughter's, like, parents. And it's so important. I didn't realize how important it was. And I would love to move, like, to other locations throughout London, but I feel like now I've also got this friend group. I'm like,
That's
your
fair.
friends are important too, but my friends are just as important. And so it's so important for settling in. Even like our next door neighbor, we always laugh about COVID. We had like a chain link, not chain link, wrought iron fence, so we can see into each other's gardens. And obviously, we weren't able to get together during COVID. So what we would do is we would bring the chairs up to each other's fence and, like, have our catch ups every, Saturday afternoon. Because I'm like, I need this other human interaction with, like, other adults who are experiencing COVID and being, first time teachers. So yeah, I mean, I do feel really, really like I've won the lottery in terms of, like, the other parents who have helped make, like, our settling in period so much better. Yeah, I'm just so thankful for them.
That's good. I think it's important that you made the shift and the change. If somebody doesn't feel right, I think I've heard this a few times actually, the school doesn't feel right or the right thing, be brave to make that change because I think like you just said, it can make all the difference rather than like kid feeling unsettled or you not feeling right. I think your kids' well-being, to be honest, is number one thing as a mum. You can talk about work and everything else, but if you just feel like something isn't right with your kid, and you're not that balance isn't there, it knocks everything else off. So
100%. I think she came home one day. I was like, I don't feel challenged. I'm like, 4-7. Like, what do you mean challenged?
takes after you.
So, after a few conversations, I was like, okay, I kind of understand what you mean. And so, yeah, you just gotta trust your gut on that stuff.
So I want to kind of find out about your kind of career goals moving forward. Now, without sounding like an interview question, what's your 5-year plan? What do you aspire to do moving forward, and how are you going to manage that being a wife and a mother as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I was literally just having my Q2 check-in with my boss, and I was like, I love, like, my current role. Like, I don't know how much you know about my role, but I'm in the GB segment, which means that we've got the run rate business with the sprinkling in of the strategic deals. And I'm like, that is, like, my forte. Like, that's just exactly where I should be. But something that was missing, funny, from this conversation was, like, that startup experience. I'm like,
Mm.
I'm not selling necessarily to startups, so I don't get exposed to them. And so I think that's one thing that her and I were talking about, like, how do we inject some startup experience with my current role? And so I think that's what I'm looking to do, like, long term, is, like, how do I, help advise, how do we just provide, expertise because of my journey has been so interesting with US, UK, and have done corporate and like startup environments. I've done commercial, I've done BDR. There's got to be people who need to want run ideas, and just share best practices. And so I think when I think about my career, I think there's the balancing and continuing to grow and getting back to those big teams, potentially here at Salesforce, kind of with the sprinkling in of, is there an opportunity to advise and, provide that expertise and fulfill that startup itch that, you can't necessarily do in, a large corporate.
Yeah, we can also get you a YouTube video set up.
Yeah.
Channel set up.
Answer any questions.
There
Exactly.
you go, see?
You could be a Ned. You could be a Ned for startups, couldn't you? Maybe we'll recruit you, Lauren.
Uh-oh.
This is a job interview, Clay.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't think it was a job interview.
I've just formalised it, sorry.
Walk us through, if now I feel like I do more of a management an interview process. But the thing that was coming up for me is this ambition. You were saying about this and with your daughter a moment ago. Like, you've obviously been really clear on your ambitions, and your desire to be a manager is obviously really clear for you. And I think it's interesting in sales because you're either a hunter for your own self, or you're a man, you want to be that manager and supporting. And you've obviously really clearly done incredibly well on that journey. And all these startups you've helped have done incredibly well. Like, what do you think makes the best manager? What is it that you live and breathe? And how have you learned to be a great manager? Like, what have you leaned into? They're the things that were coming up for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's like different for everyone. Oh, I think I'm a very empathetic leader, and like I'm very in tune to like where my team is in terms of their like personal lives. I know exactly when I can push and when I cannot, and without, taking it too far. And so I think, the only way you can do that is if you have obviously these really strong relationships with your team, and actually know what's going on outside of work. Gosh, I mean, my whole team, like I've got a couple people getting married, like just like different, like there's really big life moments that are happening. And in reality, those are probably more important than sitting at their desk, and, just doing their day job. And so how do we balance that and potentially bring it back to what their long-term goals are? And so I think that for me is like really leaning into that so that when, it comes to tough times, we can kind of talk about like, hey, what are the long-term goals? Like, why are you doing this? Why are we doing the day job? It's to achieve this X, Y, and Z. And this is why I'm pushing you at this particular moment. I found it's been, yeah, because I would say all leaders are different, right? And there are different skill sets and different things people lean into. And I think it's one thing that I caught on early, and I've just continued to kind of focus on that.
Right. Have you done any specific training or anything as a manager? Did you have that opportunity?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I mean, there's been so much training, I think, along the ways. Some of them are, just custom leadership trainings that companies have offered across the years. I don't think I've ever done anything super formal. I did do, actually, one of the perks that Salesforce offers is like the Better Up coaching. And I did a few sessions of that specifically around leadership. We also offer internally a coach as part of our Ready to Manage program, like onboarding program. And so there's a particular coach here who will meet with you every other week and just run different ideas, strategies, things like that. So yeah, I think there's just been like things I've taken from everyone kind of along the way.
So I know what I'm kind of not being nosy, but I'm going to do it anyway because that's just how I am. I want to kind of find out the dynamics of you and your partner. So who does what? Who's got the blue and pink jobs? Like what is it that you do that he doesn't do? And what are the things? How do you balance your partnership as parents and career people?
Oh my gosh, he would probably love this because he does everything. And he's like, just as like career driven. So like it should be balanced, but it is not. But yeah, I think I get home and I just like become a vegetable and I'm like, I can't do anything anymore. No, so I think, like kid stuff, we're pretty like equal. Like I said, we have an after school nanny who's like able to take them to all the activities. And we were talking about swimming, Heather, I know, take her to the pool and do all of those things. And like one of us will pick her up and those types of things. So those are pretty even. I'm typically the one to like do all the like meal prep and planning for the week. And then depending on who's available to cook, like they're responsible for making Tuesday's meal. Like it's already planned out. Like you just have to make it and we can all cook, which is good. We do have the infamous rule of, whoever cooks doesn't clean, the other one cleans, so like cleans the dishes and
Oh, really? I
oh
don't do
yeah.
that. If I'm cooking, I'll clean. If he's
Oh,
cooking, he'll
really?
I don't want to do. I don't want a job. If I'm going to do one job, I'll do it all. If I'm
Oh
doing nothing, I'm doing nothing.
I just cook. He cleans.
yeah. I
Oh,
prefer just to
God.
I hate cleaning. But he's definitely the one to like tidy up the house. Like we all, I wouldn't say the girls, but the girls and I, we all just come in, like throw all of our stuff around the ground, take the shoes off, etc. He's the one like this like mouse that comes in and like magically puts them all in the shoebox and etc. And yeah, he definitely does. I would say probably even more than he definitely needs to or should have to because I should pick up more of the slack.
I mean, it sounds quite structured. I mean, I love structure, but what do you do for like spontaneity, or is it anything you just do off the structure, or just go off the cuff?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like the weekends, they're not like, unless there's like a swim gala or an event, they are pretty kind of like go with the flow. After the gym on Saturdays, it's more around like, hey, like what do we want to do? What activities can we do around the area? There's not usually anything like officially set. So I guess it is a bit more spontaneous then. Yeah, we do sound very structured, I know.
It's interesting, isn't it? How I mean, I probably resonate with this. Is that at work when you're the leader or you're managing at home, I'm like, okay, you guys make the decision.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I
I
don't.
think you can either be one or the two, right? You're either going to be like quite like the leader at home, and that's your profile, or at home you're like clearly you're Lauren, similar to me. You're like, okay, I'll just step back now and let everybody else.
That being said, if I left it up to the kids to decide, my youngest would literally go to Babylon Park in Camden every time. Like it's like this like indoor amusement park thing, and she's obsessed. She's like anytime, like, oh, what should we do? Babylon Park. I'm like,
Oh,
Oh,
I miss Camden. This is the thing. I'm moving out of London. I miss Camden. It used to be my top hangout back in the day
oh,
when I was gothic.
oh, that's the perfect place for you.
oh. Well, you wanted to go. We meant to go to Primrose Hill, weren't we, last week?
Yeah,
And
I
you were
really
like,
wanted
oh,
to
we'll come
go.
down to Camden.
I know they've got like this shop now. It's now gone very, very trendy and modern. It used to be quite alternative, but they've got a shop that sells this Arabian oud I was telling you about before, Heather, and it's pure, really super strong perfume oils. And I just go past it, just rubbing it all on myself, coming out smelling like a boudoir. But it's magical.
Oh, but it's good that with kids that and going back to Babylon Park, it's good that they have a go-to place that they really enjoy because
Yeah,
it's like about what
Yeah,
makes
of
them
course.
happy, right?
but I'm getting like I'm sensing some like consistency here because also if it's not Babylon Park, then it's Dreamland Market. Like always rides, apparently. I need to like branch out to like Thorpe or I don't know, Chesterton.
Oh, so what top tips would you give for people listening then to like wrap up today? Like as a mum reflecting on like everything you've learned, what is the key things that you sort of have put in place to survive and thrive? It's all about thriving, not surviving, right? What would you say to people are the things that the biggest things that have been a pivot for you?
I mean, I think, for like just to echo what you were saying earlier, I think structure it works for us. So it doesn't always work for everyone else because obviously sometimes when things don't go according to plan, it's not so great. But it works for us. So I think, definitely putting in a schedule and a plan is makes life so much easier to balance both work and home life. I also think, like finding the right balance for you. So going home at 5:30 or 6 works for me, but that may not work for somebody else. I think, also I think the last thing is like also looking after yourself. So we were talking about the gym, but like if I don't have that, like I'm probably not a great mom at home and I'm probably not a great, manager when I get into work if I don't focus on myself. I think that's actually something my second line manager is really good at. It's like it's health, it's family, and then it's work, and it's in that order. And like, if you're not healthy, then all the rest, all the cards fall.
Mhm.
And so I think that, it's really important that moms don't forget that parents in general, that don't forget there's like you were the original individual, and you need to be taken care of too.
Yeah, absolutely. No, really great summary. And I think we just need to keep reminding ourselves of these things all again. When we have those days where we're like, feeling out of kilter, it's like that stop check. Those three
Yeah.
great points are like, okay, what am I doing? What have I got to do differently? So thank you, Lauren, for being with us today and sharing your journey. You've done phenomenally well in your career, hugely inspirational. Bringing up great kids, it's great to see what and hear what they're achieving as well. And hopefully this will definitely give people inspiration and thoughts about how they can improve their balance as a working mum if they've not quite got the right thing yet. And thank you, Kelly, for
Thank you.
co-hosting today. It's been lovely to see you during that summer. Everybody's on holiday. I feel like we're missing out. We're all here. But we will see you on the next podcast episode very soon. And thanks again, Lauren.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye.